Been driving for Uber for a while now. It's not a dream job or anything, but it pays the bills, and I've met all kinds of people. Some nice, some weird, and some I'd rather forget. Anyway, this one night, it was a holiday, but I can't even remember which one. The roads were quieter than usual, but the bars were packed. I was doing my usual rounds, picking up drunk folks from bars, taking them home, and trying not to think too hard about the vomit risk in the back seat. You know how it is. I get this ping for a pickup at some beach bar. It wasn't a fancy place, just one of those spots where people drink cheap beer and pretend they're living the good life. I pull up and this couple stumbles out. They looked like they were in their mid-30s. The guy was tall, built like a linebacker, and the woman was petite with long blonde hair and a tight dress that screamed, "I'm trying too hard." They were both tipsy, but it wasn't just the alcohol that caught my attention. Something about them felt off. Like, you know when you can just sense tension in the air? Yeah, it was like that. They climb into the back seat, and right off the bat, I can tell they're not in a good place. The guy's face is twisted in anger, and she's sitting as far away from him as she can, staring out the window like she's trying to disappear. I start the ride, heading toward the address they put in the app, and within minutes they're at each other's throats. He's yelling, loud enough to make my ears ring. "Why the fuck were you talking to that guy at the bar? Huh? You think I'm stupid? You think I didn't see you?" His voice was venomous, full of rage and insecurity. She finally snaps back, her voice shaky but defiant. "I wasn't doing anything. He was just being friendly." That's when he calls her a whore. Straight up. Loud and clear. I glance in the rearview mirror and she looks like she's about to cry, but she fires back anyway, telling him he's a controlling asshole. The whole thing spirals from there, and I'm stuck in the middle of it, gripping the steering wheel and wondering if I should pull over. And then it happens. He punches her. Not a slap, not a shove, a full-on punch, right to her face. Her head snaps back, and she lets out this muffled cry of pain. I freeze for a second, my brain struggling to process what the hell I just saw. But then instinct kicks in and I slam on the brakes, making the car screech to a stop in the middle of the road. "Get the fuck out of my car!" I shout, turning around to glare at him. My heart's pounding, adrenaline surging through me. I don't care how big this guy is, there's no way I'm letting him get away with that. He looks at me like I just insulted his mother. "Mind your own fucking business," he growls, his voice low and threatening. But I'm not backing down. "You hit her again, and I'm calling the cops," I say firmly, trying to keep my voice steady even though I'm shaking inside. And that's when this piece of shit spits on me. Spits on me. Right in my face. The rage that boiled up in me in that moment. It's hard to even describe. I've got my baseball bat under the driver's seat for situations like this, and I grab it without even thinking. I swing the door open and step out of the car, bat in hand. "Cut the shit," I say, my voice cold and deadly. "You want to fight? Let's go." He laughs, this cruel, mocking laugh that makes my blood boil even more. "Come on, tough guy," he sneers, getting out of the car and squaring up. "Let's see what you've got." He's bigger than me, no question about it, but I'm not scared. Not anymore. I've got the bat, and I'm ready to use it. He charges at me, fists swinging, and I barely dodge the first punch.
Nope.
I swing the bat, aiming for his leg, and connect with a sickening thud. He stumbles backward, cursing up a storm, but he doesn't go down. "You're gonna regret that," he snarls, coming at me again. This time he lands a punch to my ribs, knocking the wind out of me. It hurts like hell, but I don't let it stop me. I swing the bat again, harder this time, and hit him square in the knee. He lets out a guttural scream and collapses to the ground, clutching his leg. I stand there, breathing hard, the bat still in my hands. "Stay the fuck down," I say, my voice shaking with anger. "Or I swear to God, I'll put you in the hospital." He doesn't move, just lies there groaning in pain. I turn back to the car where the woman is still sitting, her face pale and tear-streaked. "You okay?" I ask, my tone softer now. She nods, but she doesn't say anything. Her eyes are wide, like she's in shock. I pull out my phone and call her another Uber. I'm not about to let her stay with this asshole. When the other car arrives, she gets in without a word. She doesn't thank me, doesn't even look at me. And honestly, I get it. She's been through enough. As the car drives off, I'm left standing there in the middle of the road, the bat still in my hand and the guy still writhing on the ground. I don't call the cops. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. What would they have done anyway? Arrest him for the night, let him out the next day? Guys like him don't change. And women like her, they just get caught in the crossfire over and over again. I get back in my car, my hands shaking as I put the bat back under the seat. My ribs ache and my head's spinning, but I just sit there for a while, staring at the steering wheel. The adrenaline's wearing off now, and all I feel is tired. Tired and angry and hollow. Eventually I drive off, leaving him there on the side of the road. I don't know what happened to him, and honestly, I don't care. All I know is that night changed me. It made me realize how dark and fucked up this world can be. And no matter how hard you try, you can't always fix it. Some nights, driving for Uber is just a job. And some nights, it's a nightmare you can't wake up from. That was one of those nights. I've been driving trucks for about 15 years now, hauling loads across the Southwest. You see some weird shit on the road, but nothing prepared me for what happened last week. I'm still trying to process this fucked up situation, and honestly, I don't know if I'll ever look at hitchhikers the same way again. It was a typical Arizona night, hot as balls even though it was around 10 p.m. I was hauling a load of electronics from Phoenix to Albuquerque, one of my regular routes. The stars were out, and the desert was peaceful. The kind of night that usually makes me love my job. I stopped at this gas station just outside of Holbrook. You know the type. Middle of nowhere, fluorescent lights buzzing, beef jerky that's probably been sitting there since Obama was president. I needed to grab some coffee and take a piss, maybe stretch my legs a bit. While I was paying for my stuff, these two couples walked in. They looked decent enough, clean clothes, good shoes, probably in their mid-40s. The kind of people you'd see at a neighborhood barbecue. They were asking the cashier about buses or rides heading east. I overheard they were heading to Albuquerque too. Their car had broken down about 20 miles back, and they were trying to get to some family event. The guys were wearing wedding rings, and the women had that soccer mom vibe. I'd picked up hitchhikers before, and these folks seemed safe enough. Maybe that's where I fucked up, thinking I could still judge a book by its cover after all these years on the road. I offered them a ride since they were going my way. They were super grateful, offering to chip in for gas and everything. The first hour was normal. They sat in the sleeper area of my cab, talking about their kids and jobs. One couple, Mark and Lisa, were accountants. The other couple, Jim and Sarah, owned a small restaurant in California. Everything seemed cool. That's when shit started getting weird. It started with just some kissing between the couples. I figured whatever, people get affectionate sometimes. But then it escalated real quick. Lisa's shirt came off and suddenly there were tits everywhere. I tried to focus on the road, but what the fuck? I told them to cool it, but they just laughed. The women started getting handsy with their husbands, and I'm sitting there trying to keep my 18-wheeler straight while there's basically a porn show happening in my sleeper. Then Sarah crawls up to the front and puts her hand on my thigh. "Why don't you pull over and join us?" she says, all breathy and shit. I nearly drove off the fucking road. Her husband's just grinning in the back like this is totally normal. I told them firmly to stop. This wasn't that kind of ride, but they weren't listening. Lisa joined Sarah up front, both of them half naked, talking about how they always wanted to fuck a truck driver and how they do this all the time. That's when it hit me. These weren't just horny couples getting carried away. This was their thing. They probably pulled this shit with other drivers. I started thinking about all the stories I'd heard at truck stops, drivers talking about weird encounters. The guys in the back started getting aggressive, saying shit like, "Don't be such a pussy," And, "What's wrong, you some kind of faggot?" I'm trying to drive a fucking 80,000-pound vehicle here, and these psychos are trying to force an orgy. I told them I was pulling over at the next truck stop, and they needed to get out. That's when Jim pulled out a knife. Not a big one, but sharp enough to make his point. "We're not done having fun yet," he says. My heart was pounding, but I kept my voice steady. "Look at my dash," I said. "See those red lights? That's my cameras recording everything. They upload straight to the cloud? My company watches these feeds live." I was bullshitting about the live feed part, but they didn't know that. Jim hesitated and I pressed on. "Plus, every truck stop ahead knows my route. They're expecting me at specific times. You really want to try something?" While I was talking, I was slowly reaching for the bat I keep beside my seat. 15 years of driving, you learn to keep protection handy. The knife was still out, but I could see them reconsidering their options. That's when we passed a state trooper parked on the median. I hit my brakes and flashed my lights like I was having mechanical issues. The couple's freaked out. Sarah grabbed her shirt, and Jim put the knife away real quick. The trooper pulled up behind us as I stopped on the shoulder. Before he could even get out of his car, all four of them were scrambling to get their clothes straight. I got out first, walking straight to the trooper's car. I told him everything while they sat in my cab. Turns out the police had reports of similar incidents along I-40. Couples hitchhiking, getting picked up, then either robbing drivers or worse. They'd been tracking these reports for months. When backup arrived, they found more than just a knife. The couples had drugs, stolen credit cards, and fake IDs. This wasn't their first rodeo. They'd been working highways across multiple states, targeting truckers they thought would be too embarrassed to report what happened. The investigation revealed some sick shit. They'd film their encounters and sell them on the dark web. Some drivers they drugged and robbed, others they blackmailed with videos. A few drivers had gone missing after picking up couples matching their description. The cops found a notebook with lists of truck stops, driver patterns, and company names. These fuckers had done their research. They knew which companies had cameras, which routes were most isolated, even which drivers were likely to pick up hitchhikers. It's been a week since this happened. The detective working the case calls me every couple days with updates. They're finding more victims, more evidence of other groups doing similar shit. Apparently, there's a whole network of these predators working the highways. I still drive the same routes, but everything's different now. Every time I stop for coffee, I think about how normal they looked walking into that gas station. Every hitchhiker I pass could be another predator waiting to happen. The trucking community's been sharing info, warning each other about similar scams. Some drivers installed panic buttons in their cabs. Others won't stop at certain places after dark anymore. We're all a little more paranoid now. Last night, I was at my regular truck stop in Flagstaff. Got to talking with another driver who had a similar experience in Texas. Different couples, same setup. He wasn't as lucky as me. They got away with his wallet and phone, and the cops still haven't caught them. The thing that fucks with me most isn't the attempted assault or the knife. It's how goddamn normal they looked. Like people you trust to watch your kids or invite to your home. The real monsters don't look like monsters at all. I've started recording every interaction I have on the road now. Got cameras covering every angle of my truck. No more hitchhikers, no matter how normal they look. No more helping stranded motorists unless the cops are already there. Sometimes I think about what could have happened if that state trooper hadn't been there, or if I hadn't had my cameras. Would I have been another missing person report? Another unsolved case file? Another story whispered about at truck stops? The detective says they're still finding victims who are too ashamed to come forward. Truckers who thought they were helping someone in need, only to end up in a nightmare. Some lost everything. Their money, their dignity, their lives. The couples are in custody now, facing multiple charges across different states. But their network is still out there, still hunting on the highways, still looking for their next victim. To all my fellow drivers out there, watch your backs. Those cameras I mentioned, get them. They might save your life one day. And if something seems too normal, too perfect, trust your gut and keep driving. The next hitchhiker you pass might be more than just someone looking for a ride. They say the desert holds many secrets. Now I know some of them. Every night when I'm driving through those dark stretches of Arizona highway, I think about how many other predators are out there, waiting for someone to stop and offer help. The road isn't the same anymore, but I'm still here, still driving, still watching. Because someone needs to tell this story. Someone needs to warn others, and maybe, just maybe, sharing this will help catch more of these sick fucks before they can hurt anyone else. Stay safe out there, drivers. The monsters are real and they're wearing normal people masks. I need to get this shit off my chest because it's been fucking with my head for months now. This happened back in August 2024, and I still get nightmares about it. I'm just a regular dude in LA working as an Uber driver to pay my bills while studying at night. Not my dream job, but it paid the rent, you know. That night started pretty normal. I picked up this sweet elderly couple around 8 p.m. They were heading to their grandkids' house and spent the whole ride telling me stories about their grandchildren. The old lady kept showing me pictures on her phone, talking about how little Tommy got straight A's and shit. They were nice people, the kind that makes this job bearable. After dropping them off, I cruised around looking for my next ride. The app pinged, pickup request from someone named Sarah. The location was in a decent neighborhood, so I didn't think twice about accepting it. When I pulled up, this woman in her mid-30s came out. She was wearing business casual clothes, looking like she just got off work or something. She hopped in the front seat, which usually isn't my favorite, but she seemed normal enough. The destination was pretty far, like a 45-minute drive. We made small talk at first, you know, the usual shit about LA traffic and weather. Everything seemed cool until about 15 minutes into the ride. Out of nowhere, she asked me to pull over, saying she needed to pee really bad. We were on this quiet stretch of road with not much around, but I figured whatever. When you gotta go, you gotta go. She went behind some bushes and took forever, like a good 5 minutes. I remember checking my phone, thinking this was eating into my driving time. When she got back in, something was different. She started getting really flirty, saying shit that made me uncomfortable as fuck. Like really explicit stuff about what she wanted to do to me. I'm not some shy virgin or anything, but this felt off. Then she fucking stretched over and grabbed my crotch just like that. I nearly swerved off the road. "What the fuck?" I said, pushing her hand away. "You need to stop that right now." She pulled back, and for a minute, everything was quiet. I thought maybe she got the message, but nah, she tried again, this time being more aggressive about it. I firmly told her to stop, trying to keep my cool while watching the road. That's when she said it. The words that made my blood run cold. "If you don't do what I want, I'm calling the cops and telling them you sexually harassed me." Who do you think they'll believe? A male Uber driver or a professional woman? My mind was racing. I had a dash cam, but she was sitting in a way that blocked most of the view. She knew what she was doing. This wasn't her first time pulling this shit. She kept touching me, and I felt trapped. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I tried to keep my voice steady and told her about the cameras recording everything. That's when she fucking snapped. She started screaming and grabbed the wheel, trying to force us off the road. We were doing 60 on this dark stretch of highway, and the car swerved hard. I managed to keep control, but just barely. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then I saw the knife. She pulled it out of her purse like it was nothing, pressing it against my side. "Pull over right now," she said, her voice all calm and shit, which made it even creepier. We were in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by empty fields and some industrial buildings. As soon as I stopped, she made me get out. The knife was pressing into my back as she forced me to walk behind this abandoned warehouse. I was thinking about my mom, how she always worried about me driving at night, and how I should have listened. I thought this was it. I was going to be another missing persons case on the news. But sometimes life throws you a fucking miracle. This security guard was doing his rounds at the warehouse, and his flashlight caught us. The woman immediately switched up, started crying and screaming that I had tried to assault her, but that security guard had seen everything through the warehouse cameras. He'd watched her force me out of the car at knife point. The cops showed up quick, and that's when the whole thing got even more fucked up. Turns out, this woman was part of a huge criminal operation. She'd done this to 3 other drivers in different cities. Some of her victims weren't as lucky as me. They'd been robbed, assaulted, or worse. When the cops searched her phone, they found this whole network of people targeting rideshare drivers. They had detailed plans, maps marking vulnerable routes, and tips for blackmailing drivers. They'd been operating for months, maybe even years. The investigation is still ongoing. Every week, the detective handling the case finds more victims and more sick details about their operation. They've linked it to human trafficking rings across the state. Some of their victims are still missing. I still drive Uber, but only during daylight hours now. I've got cameras covering every angle of my car, and no one sits in the front seat anymore. Every time I pick up a passenger, I can't help but wonder if they're connected to that network. The scariest part? These people are still out there. The cops only caught a small part of their operation. Sometimes when I'm driving, I'll see someone who looks like her, and my heart stops for a second. The detective says there are probably hundreds of drivers who never reported what happened to them, too scared or ashamed to come forward. This shit changed me, man. I used to think the worst part of this job was drunk people puking in my car or getting bad ratings. Now I know better. The real monsters don't look like monsters at all. They look like normal people, act like normal people, until they've got you exactly where they want you. So if you're a driver or even just someone who works nights, please be careful. Trust your gut. Get cameras. And remember, the person sitting next to you might not be who they seem to be. I got lucky that night. Others weren't so fortunate. And somewhere out there, that network is still operating, still looking for their next victim. So I drive Uber in Dallas, usually on Friday and Saturday nights. You know how it goes. Drunk people, party crowds, the whole damn circus. And yeah, sometimes it's entertaining like free reality TV happening right in the backseat of my car. But other times, it's a nightmare. And this night takes the fucking cake. It was around 1:00 a.m. and I was just about ready to call it quits. I'd been driving all night, picking up drunk assholes and dodging traffic on McKinney Ave, which, by the way, is like the goddamn Hunger Games after midnight. Everyone's drunk, fighting for Ubers, stumbling into the street. I was tired as hell and thinking, screw it, I'm going home. But then my app lights up with a ping surge pricing, 3x, and I'm like, all right, one more trip. Maybe I'll get lucky and score a long ride to Plano or somewhere far enough to make it worth my time. So I fight through the mess of cars and people to get to this bar downtown. Traffic's a nightmare as usual. Horns blaring, people stumbling across crosswalks like zombies. I pull up to the curb, put my flashers on, and wait. But no one comes over. I'm sitting there thinking, great, another drunk asshole who ordered an Uber and forgot about it. I text the rider, and I'm scanning the crowd to see if anyone's looking at their phone. That's when I see her. She's this early 20-something blonde girl, and she's absolutely smashed. Like, we're not talking tipsy. We're talking obliterated. She's wearing this tiny jumper, basically falling out of it, and she's swaying back and forth like she's on a damn boat. She pulls out her phone, so I figure, okay, that's my rider. I get out of the car and call her name. She looks at me, tries to take a step forward, and just face plants. Straight up eats the pavement. I'm standing there like, oh shit. Some guy helps her up, but he's not just helping her. He's feeling her up while he's at it. His hands are all over her, and she's too out of it to even notice. It pisses me off. I walk over, tell him to take a hike, and he gives me this look like he's about to say something. But I guess he thought better of it because he just walked off. Good thing too, because I wasn't in the mood for any bullshit. Anyway, I help her to my car and get her in the back seat. She's practically dead weight, and I'm trying not to think about how much she reeks of alcohol. It's bad. Like, it's burning my nose bad. She's slumped over in the seat, and I'm trying to buckle her in, but she's all wobbly and her jumper's slipping down. I'm like, Jesus Christ, lady, keep it together. I finally get the seatbelt on her and ask for the address. She mumbles something that sounds like an address, and I punch it into the GPS. Now, at this point, I'm starting to wonder if she's been slipped something. Like, yeah, she's drunk, but this feels like more than just alcohol. She's barely coherent, and she keeps slurring her words and nodding off. I think about asking her if she's okay, but honestly, I don't even know if she'd understand me. So I just start driving, figuring the best thing I can do is get her home safe. Her address isn't far, maybe 5 minutes away, uptown. I pull up to her apartment building and stop. Now comes the fun part. She's passed out in the back seat, and I'm sitting there like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? I try calling her name, shaking her shoulder a bit, but she's out cold. The smell of booze is so strong it's making me nauseous. I'm starting to think she's going to hurl all over my car, and I do not want to deal with that. I get out, open the back door, and try to help her up. She stirs a little, but when I lift her, her legs just give out and she falls straight into the street. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. I pick her up. She's not heavy, but she's dead weight, which makes it tricky, and walk her to the door of her building. She's fumbling with her bag trying to find her keys, but she's so out of it that she can barely hold on to it. At one point, she leans back into me, her butt pressing against my thigh, and I'm just standing there awkwardly, trying to keep her from toppling over. Finally, she pulls out her keys, but she can't get the damn door open. She's jamming the key into the lock, missing it completely, and muttering under her breath. I'm thinking, lady, come on, work with me here. After a few tries, she gives up and buzzes her roommate. We're standing there waiting, and I'm just praying her roommate hurries the hell up because I want to get out of there. That's when I feel it. At first, I thought it was just her leaning against me. But then I feel this warm, wet sensation running down my leg. I freeze. I look down, and sure enough, she's pissing. She's fucking pissing on me. It's running down my leg, soaking into my jeans, my sock, my shoe. I just stand there staring at it like, this is not happening. This cannot be happening. Her roommate finally comes down, takes one look at her, and goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I help her get the girl into the elevator, and the whole time I'm just trying not to lose my shit. I say goodbye, head back to my car, and sit there for a minute, just processing. My leg is soaked, my shoe squishes when I step, and the smell is horrendous. I'm done. Like, completely fucking done. I grab a plastic bag I keep in the car, strip off my pants, socks, and shoes, and shove them in the bag. I'm sitting there in my boxers, my head against the steering wheel, wondering what the hell I've done to deserve this. I drive home like that barefoot, in my boxers, windows down because the smell is unbearable. I get home, take the longest shower of my life, and throw everything, pants, socks, shoes, straight into the trash. No way was I going to try to save any of it. And that's it. That's the worst rider I've ever had. And honestly, after that night, I seriously considered quitting Uber. But, bills don't pay themselves. So here I am, still driving, still dealing with drunk idiots. But at least now, whenever I think I've had a bad night, I just remember that girl and her goddamn piss, and I'm like, well, it could be worse. Could always be worse. Let me tell you about the day I almost became a mass murderer. Not by choice, but by circumstance and 100,000 pounds of pure, uncontrollable metal. This shit happened back when I was working for Henderson Equipment in the early 2000s, and I still wake up in cold sweats thinking about it. I'd been hauling heavy equipment for about 8 years at that point. Started right out of high school, learning the ropes from my old man who'd been doing it since the 70s. By then, I thought I'd seen everything the job could throw at me. Boy, was I fucking wrong. It was mid-January, one of those deceptive winter mornings where everything looks fine but the temperature's playing tricks. The sun was out, but the thermometer read just below freezing. Any trucker worth their salt knows that's the most dangerous kind of weather, when the road can't make up its mind between wet and frozen. The company I worked for had this ancient Caterpillar D9 bulldozer. This wasn't your regular construction equipment. This beast weighed over 100,000 pounds. We were using this old 80s tractor with a drop trailer to move it, both well past their prime, but still doing the job. Kind of like most of us in this industry. That morning, my supervisor, Mike, called me in early. Hey, we need that dozer moved to the Johnson site by noon, he said, like he was asking me to deliver pizza or something. I knew the route, about 40 miles through some pretty challenging terrain, including that fucking hill everyone talked about. We spent 2 hours loading the dozer onto the trailer. Every chain, every strap had to be perfect. When you're moving something that heavy, there's no room for mistakes. I checked everything 3 times, just like my old man taught me. The irony of being so careful with the securing while fate had other plans still gets me. The first 20 miles were smooth. I was taking it easy, doing all the checks. CB radio was quiet except for the usual trucker banter. I even stopped for coffee at this little place I always hit on this route. The girl at the counter said, "Be careful out there, roads are tricky today." If only she knew. As I approached that infamous hill, everything seemed normal. This intersection was known as Dead Man's Drop among local drivers. It sits right at the bottom of a steep hill, and you can't see shit until you're over the crest. The Department of Transportation had been promising to fix it for years, but you know how that goes. I was about half a mile from the hill when my CB started crackling. Some guy was trying to warn traffic, but my radio was picking up every third word at best. Something about slow and ice and backup. My gut told me to slow down before I even hit the crest. Just as I topped that hill, time seemed to slow down. You know that moment in movies where everything goes quiet and you can hear your own heartbeat? It was exactly like that, except this wasn't a fucking movie. The intersection below was a nightmare come to life. There had been a wreck, looked like a multi-car pileup. Traffic was backed up more than halfway up the hill. No emergency vehicles yet, just a bunch of people standing around their cars, probably in shock. That's when physics decided to remind me who's boss. I started downshifting and braking, but this load was heavy as hell. Then I hit the first ice patch. The sound of tires searching for grip is something that still haunts me. The trailer started doing its own thing behind me like a drunk dancer at a wedding. I glanced in my driver's side mirror, nothing. Not the trailer, not the dozer, nothing. My heart stopped. When I looked in the passenger mirror, I saw the whole goddamn trailer swinging out like a pendulum, with that massive dozer along for the ride. In that moment, my entire life flashed before my eyes. 15 years of driving experience meant jack shit now. I was just a spectator in a 100,000-pound game of death bowling, and those cars below were the pins. The jackknife was happening in slow motion. The trailer was pushing the tractor sideways, and physics was having a field day with all that momentum. Ice patches were everywhere, turning the road into a fucking slip and slide from hell. The weight of the dozer was actually making the trailer bounce. I could feel every movement through the seat. I laid on the horn like my life depended on it, which it did. People started abandoning their cars below, running like ants when you kick their hill. I don't blame them. From their perspective, they were watching their own death rolling down that hill. The sound was something else. The trailer tires were screaming against the pavement, making this deep, hellish squeal that sounded like 1,000 demons getting their teeth pulled. The chains holding the dozer were rattling and straining, and I swear I could hear every single link threatening to snap. My hands were white-knuckling the wheel, but it was useless. The steering wheel was just a suggestion at this point. I was pumping the brakes, trying to remember every single thing I'd ever learned about controlling skids. But none of it mattered. This was pure survival mode. I could see people's faces as I got closer to the bottom. Pure terror. Mothers grabbing their kids from car seats. An old man literally falling as he tried to run. I thought, this is it. I'm about to kill all these people. Their families will hate me forever. I'll spend the rest of my life in prison. The truck finally stopped 3 feet from this red Honda Civic. 3 fucking feet. I could have reached out and touched their trunk. The trailer was jackknifed so bad it was practically parallel with my cab, blocking all 3 lanes. I was shaking so hard I couldn't even grip the door handle. But it wasn't over. Some guy was screaming and pointing up the hill. I looked up to see another semi, this one carrying a tank trailer, coming down in the same situation I'd just been in. Only now, because of how I was blocking the road, he had even less space to work with. I jumped out of my cab so fast I nearly fell. Started running away from my truck thinking, this is it. We're all gonna die in a chain reaction. The tank truck driver somehow managed to thread the needle, sliding to a stop right next to my rig like he was parallel parking at a truck stop. The CB guy finally got through to enough truckers up top, and they formed a blockade. stopping anyone else from coming down. By then, my legs were pure jelly. I sat down right there on the cold asphalt, and these people I'd nearly killed minutes ago were actually comforting me. The cops showed up about 10 minutes later, followed by what seemed like every emergency vehicle in the county. The officer took one look at the scene and said, "Son, you just used up all your luck for the next decade." The investigation afterward was intense. They measured every skid mark, photographed every angle, interviewed everyone involved. The company's insurance people showed up, looking like they'd seen a ghost when they realized what almost happened. The road was shut down for hours while they figured out how to untangle our trucks. The ice had to be cleared, salt laid down, and a special recovery team called in. Moving that dozer off the trailer was like performing surgery. One wrong move and the whole thing could have gone sideways again. The aftermath of that day changed everything. The DOT finally got off their asses and redesigned that entire intersection. They installed warning systems, better lighting, and temperature sensors that trigger automatic salt spreaders. Took a near disaster to make it happen, but at least something good came out of it. The company I worked for completely overhauled their winter transport policies. No more moving heavy equipment if there's even a chance of ice. They replaced all the old trailers and upgraded the entire fleet. That ancient tractor I was driving? Scrapped within a week. The psychological stuff hit harder than I expected. For months, I couldn't drive past that. This woman tracked me down. Turned out she was one of the people in the cars that day. She brought a truck stop just 3 feet from her car. About 5 years later, said his nerves couldn't take it anymore. Can't blame him. We both know we used up all our luck that morning. Word spread through the trucking community like wildfire. They still tell the story at truck stops, though it's gotten pretty exaggerated over the years. Some versions have the dozer flying off the trailer. Others have me steering with one hand while saving a baby with the other. Truth is scary enough without the embellishments. The company's safety training now includes dashboard camera footage from that day. Yeah, they had a camera installed. Forgot to mention that part. The video shows everything. The jackknife, the people running, that tank truck sliding in. They use it to teach new drivers about weight distribution and winter conditions. I've never watched it. Living it once was enough. Sometimes I drive past that intersection with my grandkids now. They always ask why I grip the wheel so tight there. I tell them it's just a habit, but their grandmother knows better. She sees me checking the weather reports obsessively during winter, planning routes to avoid steep hills. The old-timers who were there that day have mostly retired now, but every now and then I'll run into someone who remembers. They all say the same thing. "You're the guy who stopped that runaway dozer." Yeah, I'm that guy. The one who almost killed a dozen people and somehow didn't. I still drive trucks, but nothing over 50,000 pounds anymore. Call it superstition, call it trauma, call it whatever you want. I've seen what can happen when physics and bad luck team up against you. Some lessons you only need to learn once. Last winter, they put up a sign at the top of that hill. One of those electronic ones that shows road conditions and temperatures. I heard the local truckers call it the Guardian because it's probably saved more lives than we'll ever know. Every time I pass it, I think about how close we all came to disaster that day. The CB radio guy who tried to warn us? Never found out who he was. Probably some guardian angel looking out for fellow truckers. Wherever you are, brother, I owe you a beer. Your warning made me slow down, just enough to make those 3 feet of difference between life and death. They say time heals all wounds, but some scars stay with you. Every winter morning when the temperature hovers around freezing, I say a little prayer for everyone on the road, because I know better than most how thin the line is between a normal day and a nightmare. To all you drivers out there, especially the young ones who think they're invincible, respect the weight you're carrying, respect the weather, and most of all, respect that gut feeling that tells you something's not right. Sometimes that feeling is all that stands between you and disaster. I'm retiring next year. My wife says it's time, and she's probably right. But before I hang up my keys, I'm taking one last drive past that intersection. Not to face my fears or find closure or any of that therapy stuff. Just to remind myself that sometimes survival comes down to inches and seconds, and every day above ground is a gift. Because when you're sitting in that driver's seat with 100,000 pounds behind you, you're not just responsible for yourself. You're responsible for every life in every car around you. And sometimes being a hero isn't about saving people. It's about not killing them when physics and fate are trying their hardest to make you do just that. That's my story. Not the kind you tell to make yourself look good, but the kind you tell to keep others alive. Because somewhere out there, right now, another driver is approaching another hill on another icy morning. And maybe, just maybe, hearing this story will make them think twice about their speed, their load, and their luck. Stay safe out there, folks, and remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit when conditions are beyond your control. Better to be called a coward than to have deaths on your conscience. Trust me on that one.